Howdy, I'm Clint Walker and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Clint. I'm Randy Hansen. In World News headlines today, military prosecutors claim a link between Bradley Manning and WikiLeaks. And as U.S. troops leave Iraq, Iraqi government issues arrest warrant for Vice VP. And Egypt military police continue violent crackdown on Tahrir Square protesters. And at least 100 people killed Monday on ongoing Syrian crackdown. And Russia demands NATO response to the reports of civilian casualties in Libya. Wonder why they don't say anything about Syria. North Korea enters mourning period following Kim Jong-il's death. And Panetta warns Iran could build nuclear bomb in 1 year's time. And Mitt Romney received millions from private equity firm each year despite leaving company. And 8 Occupy Des Moines demonstrators arrested at Iowa Democratic Party headquarters. In Occupy Denver, protesters clashed with police, 2 arrested on arson charges. And a report says 7 largest banks on track for a record-breaking $156 billion in compensation. And study finds 1.6 million children homeless in 2010, and 1/3 of young people will be arrested before the age of 23. AT&T abandons T-Mobile merger plans amid intense scrutiny, and Philippines typhoon death toll approaches 1,000. And hundreds protest in Kazakhstan following fatal police crackdowns, and Belarus police detained dozens after a candlelit vigil to protest a re-election. An Army veteran detained by Arizona sheriff deputies now on life support, body bears signs of tasing. And Justice Department investigates Connecticut Police Department accused of targeting Latinos. And Peru allows once imprisoned U.S. activist Lori Berenson to visit family for holidays. GVTV News content has no connection with NCTV Digital Media Center and is its own program. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, a pretrial military hearing for accused Army whistleblower Private Bradley Manning is entering its 5th day. Manning has been held for the past 19 months and alleged leaking classified videos and diplomatic U.S. cables to the website WikiLeaks. On Monday, military prosecutors claimed they had discovered that they believed its email correspondence between Manning and Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks. In one letter, Manning reportedly wrote, "This is possibly one of the more significant documents of our time, removing the fog of war and revealing the true nature of the 21st century asymmetry warfare." An email to another individual, Manning reportedly took credit for leaking a video that showed a U.S. helicopter gunship killing a group of Iraqi men, including 2 employees of Reuters. Monday's hearings had other dramatic moments. The nation's famous whistleblower Daniel Ellsberg was temporarily removed from the hearing after he attempted to speak to Bradley Manning. And former Choi, who also was in there. Manning could face life imprisonment. President Obama and Vice President Biden plan to hold a ceremony at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland to mark the end of the Iraq War, while U.S. Army has left Iraq. We still maintain a staff of more than 15,000, including thousands of private security contractors. Meanwhile, Iraq is in a state of political turmoil. On Monday, the Shiite-led Iraqi government issued an arrest warrant for Vice President Tariq al-Shima, a Sunni Muslim suspected in ties of assassinations and bombings. Some analysts fear the development could push Iraq back into sectarian turmoil between Shiites and Sunnis. What a surprise. And the vice president said, Iraq reconciliation is one of the projects that the government has failed at unprecedentedly, and the reason is there is no real intention of national reconciliation. There is no real will for reconciliation. Earlier yesterday, Iraqi Vice President Hashimi denied any wrongdoings. And for the 5th consecutive day, police and soldiers in Egypt have used tear gas and batons in an attempt to clear pro-democracy demonstrators from the Cairo's Tahrir Square. Video from the weekend showed soldiers dragging a woman through the street by her hair and traditional clothing ripped from her body, her underwear exposed, was causing shock and outrage around the world. On Monday, General Adel Amara, a member of the Egyptian ruling military council that took over after President Hosni Mubarak was overthrown in February, called the assault an isolated incident and said it was under investigation. Amara suggested the youth of Egypt are not responsible for the nation's unrest. He said, "It is not possible that those who are destroying the nation are demonstrators or that they are amongst the January 25th youth who are pure. It is not possible that the young people that sacrifice their soul are the same people that I will show you now, or those that raise their hands to burn Egypt's heritage or burn the parliament. It is not possible that they are the young people, the hope of Egypt and the wealth of the nation." Medical officials say at least 13 people were killed since clashes began Friday. Hundreds more were wounded. A group of Reporters Without Borders claims that the military has used systematic violence to block journalists from covering the event. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has joined the Amnesty International in demanding the arms suppliers stop sending small arms and weapons to the Egyptian army. The United States alone provided Egypt's military with $1.3 billion in annual aid. Former Egyptian presidential candidate and longtime dissident Ayman Noor called on Egypt's military council to cease its campaign of violence at once. He said, "We are demanding the military council to stop this violence, and it should withdraw the forces and oblige to certain actions such as stop shooting, respecting human rights, and right to express opinions and rights of protesting. But all of these have been violated. In fact, we are demanding the military council to tell us the truth, because all its statements were not true. We have been shocked, and this situation is leading into a dead-end tunnel." Noor was beaten and detained by Egyptian military when the clashes began late last week. In other news from the region, at least 100 people were reportedly killed in Syria Monday in what may have been the bloodiest day since the Syrian government began cracking down on protesters, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. 60 army deserters were shot dead as they tried to flee their army base. In addition, 40 Syrian civilians were shot dead. Earlier, Syria threatened to execute anyone who participates in terror acts or distributes weapons. Meanwhile, the Arab League has announced it will soon send monitors to Syria to end the 9 months of violence against anti-government protesters. And Russia is demanding NATO respond to reports of dozens of Libyan civilians were killed in an airstrike campaign which led to the downfall of Libyan leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. The New York Times recently reports that at least 40 civilians, perhaps more than 70, were killed by NATO. Death toll included at least 29 women and children. Many of them had been asleep in their homes when they were killed. North Korea has entered an 11-day period of official mourning following the death of leader Kim Jong-il. His body now lies in state in a glass coffin ahead of his funeral next week. Kim Jong-il's death has been embarrassing to the intelligence services of South Korea, China, and the United States. Kim Jong-il died on Saturday, but spy agencies only learned about the momentous development on Monday, 48 hours later, when North Korea's state media announced his death. U.S. Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta appeared on CBS News last night, or 2 nights ago, to warn Iran could assemble a nuclear bomb in a year or less. Panetta became the latest Obama administration official to openly talk about Iran becoming a nuclear state. But even though no evidence exists that Iran has a facility to build such a weapon, Panetta was interviewed by CBS News' Scott Pelley. Panetta said the United States does not want Iran to develop a nuclear weapon. That's a red line for us, and it's a red line, obviously, for the Israelis. If we have to do it, we will do it. And he was talking about getting rid of that. The New York Times has revealed Republican President hopeful Mitt Romney received millions of dollars each year from a private equity firm, Bain Capital, despite having left the company in '99. The Times reports Romney's retirement package gave him a share of profits from the corporate buyouts and investments through February 2009. The company's actions over the years has included purchasing and restructuring companies and firing thousands of workers. This is just a little sting at Romney. They can't find too much to dig at him right lately. 8 people affiliated with Occupy Des Moines in Iowa Monday after staging a protest in Iowa's Democratic Party headquarters. The Occupy protesters have also targeted the Obama for America office in recent days. Protesters called on Obama to veto the National Defense Authorization Act, and which is on the U.S. government by authorizing the military to jail anyone who considers terrorism suspects anywhere in the world without charge or trial. Meanwhile, in Colorado, clashes broke out between Occupy Denver protesters and Denver police late 2 nights ago. Following a late-night eviction, 2 protesters were arrested on arson charges for setting the shelters aflame. In banking news, a new report for New Bottom Line is predicting a total compensation at 7 of the biggest U.S. banks, totaling a record-breaking $156 billion this year. What a surprise. The report examines the records of Bank of America, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, U.S. Bank, and Wells Fargo. What a group. 6 of the 7 banks set aside more money for compensation through the first 3 quarters of 2011 than they did for the 3 quarters of 2010. Boy, they sure took our money to the bank, didn't they? In other economic news, a study has found 1.6 million children of the United States and 1 of 45 kids are homeless last year. 1 in 45, that's a lot. The group said the child homelessness rate has jumped 33% since 2007. Another study found about 1/3 of young people will be arrested before they turn 23. The study examines arrests not including minor traffic violations for kids ages 8 to 23. Researchers said they found between 30.2% and 41.4% have been arrested. And in business news, AT&T has abandoned its attempt to merge with T-Mobile after a $39 billion deal came under defense scrutiny from federal regulators and public interest groups. The deal would have left the country with 2 cell phone companies, AT&T and Verizon, with almost 3/4 of the market between them. And in the Philippines, the death toll from the typhoon and massive flooding is approaching 1,000. President Benigno Aquino III has declared a state of calamity, and aid workers are calling for water and other supplies to help 45,000 people displaced in evacuation centers. Most of the dead were reportedly women and children killed in their sleep by flash floods. Hundreds of people have taken to the streets in former Soviet Republic Kazakhstan following days of sustained clashes between police and striking oil workers. Officials say that 14 people died since unrest took place late last week, but human rights groups claim the number could be many times higher. On Friday, police opened fire on oil workers participating in a 6-month-old strike in the city of, well, I don't even going to say it, killing 13 people. 26 of in Amman as residents, well, Arman, this guy said. Panic started shooting. We were standing slightly to the side. Everybody started running. Everybody was shouting. We got frightened and started running too. I had a bullet in my stomach. I got into intensive care. Then I had surgery. In Belarus, dozens of people have been detained by the police after taking part in a candle-lit vigil protest. President Alexander Lukashenko was recently re-elected for the 4th time in a contest his critics have denounced as fraudulent. The protests follow similar motivation demonstrations in Russia, where tens of thousands of demonstrators have taken to the streets in recent weeks to protest disputed parliamentary elections for Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party. A Latino Army veteran arrested by sheriff's deputies in Maricopa County, Arizona, is on life support after being found unresponsive in his cell. The family of the 44-year-old Ernesto Atencio told advocates that they were deciding to take their son off life support after he was found in a jail cell with taser marks on his body. The news comes from Maricopa Sheriff Joe Arapio. They're having a justice probe found on the department for unfairly targeting Latinos. U.S. Department of Justice has found another instance of discrimination against Latinos, this time in a suburban police in East Haven, Connecticut. Investigators said reporters of traffic stops showed the department engaged in a pattern of practice of biased policing. One case included an officer looking up insurance information on a moving vehicle in order to find a reason to stop the car. The once imprisoned U.S. activist Lori Berenson has been allowed to leave Peru for the first time since she was arrested in 1995. Berenson boarded a plane late night along with her 2-year-old son. She's planned to spend the holidays with her parents in New York City. Berenson was paroled last year after serving 15 years and a 20-year sentence for aiding the outlawed Tupac Amaru revolutionary movement. And that's it for World News today. Thanks for another one of our underwriters that supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter, and pictures in the blotter not from these actual events but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Sunday, 2:27 p.m. Caller from 100 block of King Court reported being assaulted by a man. And 3:02 p.m. a woman from 200 block of Colfax Avenue reported a man tried to attack her and was screaming that he was going to kill her and her sister. And 3:53 p.m. a caller from 300 block of Sutton Way reported a rental car was stolen last night. 8:22 p.m. a caller from 100 block of West McKnight Way reported a man shoplifted. And 9:23 p.m. a woman from 200 block of Dorsey Drive reported drinking 2 large Jägermeisters and thought she might die. She was transported to the hospital. 10:16 p.m. a caller from 100 block of Bank Street reported a transient passed out near a dumpster. He was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. 11:37 p.m. a man from 800 block of Old Tunnel Road reported needing medical attention for self-inflicted head injury and was transported to the emergency room. At 11:45 p.m. a caller from hospital reported a man locked in the bathroom smoking marijuana. And Monday, 3:03 a.m. a man from 200 block of East Main Street reported being assaulted twice by a bouncer. And Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Sunday, 10:34 a.m. caller from 15,000 block of Tyler Foot Crossing Road reported theft of a propane tank and wood. And 3:59 p.m. caller from Comby Road reported a theft. A juvenile was cited on suspicion of shoplifting and being drunk in public. 6:37 p.m. caller from Comby Road reported juveniles throwing pizza who then fled. And 6:52 p.m. a caller from 10,000 block of Comby Road reported a person stole 2 bottles of alcohol. 9:38 p.m. a caller from North Bloomfield Road reported a man who appeared to be delusional who was screaming obscenities at passerbyers. He would be found to be drunk and walking to a friend's house. 11:07 p.m. a woman from Little Valley Road reported violence and verbal abuse. On the callback, she said the kids were getting excited about Christmas. In Nevada City Police Department on Sunday, 11:22 a.m. caller from 300 block of Spring Street reported a transient sleeping behind a business. And 12:54 p.m. a caller from Spring Street reported a man looking in vehicles. And 8:30 p.m. a caller from Commercial Street reported a fall victim with a facial injury who was transported to the hospital. And 8:36 p.m. a caller from Commercial and North Pine Street reported a person fell and broke part of a boardwalk. A man was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. And that's it for the police blotter. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
In today's local news headlines, Nevada City Police Force reduced. An exemplary Nevada Union student going to Princeton. And Google and KKR invest in California solar project. Uh-oh. In our first local story written by Christopher Rosacker of the Union, with the expiration of the federal stimulus grant, Nevada City's police force has lost 2 full-time officers and will re-implement furlough days just as residents are calling for more enforcement. Up until the end of November, an American Recovery and Investment Act of 2009 funded Nevada City's 2 full-time officers, filled a vacant and unfunded administrative assistant position, and staved off furloughs. Nevada City won their 2-year competitive grant worth $500 million. Well, total, but I think it was $125 million. We have less officers now to meet the demand than we were meeting before, said Nevada City Manager David Brennan. Approximately 17% reduction of the police force. The cuts also come amid a search to replace the department's retiring part-time chief, Lou Travato, who has said he will remain on until his successor is found. 2 officers were reduced to reserve status effective November 28th, Travado said, and are actively seeking law enforcement employment elsewhere. Additionally, Nevada City's council will dedicate general funds to maintain the administrative assistant position, said Katrina Andes, who handles the city finances and human resource matters. We're hired knowing this was a possibility, Travado said. With the economy going the way it is, we didn't have much choice. Nevada City has mandated the regular staff incur 1 furlough day per month since April 2009, but the grant isolated the police force from the reduction. Rather than closing down the department 1 day a month, the police department will reduce staff hours on certain days to reach the 8-hour equivalents, Travado said. It's a difficult thing to do when you're operating 24 hours a day, Travado said. We can't just close up shop. Staff reductions will especially strain the department when officers call in sick, need vacation time, or tend to personal matters, because they will likely require overtime hours to compensate. We just have less people on the street, Travado said. It's not that we can't do the job, but when we have more eyes on the street, you can observe more things. With the population hovering around 3,000, Nevada City also outsources its emergency phone calls to the Nevada County Sheriff's Office, which provides dispatch services for the city. With a few hundred calls per month, Nevada City represents a small percentage of the emergency calls routed through the office, according to union records. A recent Nevada City Parks and Recreation survey about Pioneer Park yielded concerns over safety in the public space. In subsequent efforts to increase safety, the second suggested remedy to illicit activities was increased and focused policing. Additionally, Nevada City's council will likely hear at their next meeting in January the second reading of an ordinance aimed to regulate public behavior, which sprang from an original effort to curb what business owners described as individuals blocking the flow of pedestrian traffic. In another Christopher Rosacker story out of the Union, December has been a good month for Morgan Harvey, a 17-year-old senior at Nevada Union High School, even as a class president who holds a 4.33 weighted grade point average. Harvey was surprised on December 15th to learn that she had been accepted at the prestigious Princeton University for the fall of 2012 semester. I screamed and started crying and couldn't believe it at all, said Harvey, who lives in Oregon House in Yuba County. I'm still having trouble believing it's real. Her acceptance to her first choice, Early Decision College, came just 2 weeks after the state superintendent of public instruction, Tom Torlaxon, chose Harvey as one of the 2 California representatives for the annual United States Senate Youth Program at the nation's capital. Students participating in the program will take in a week of intensive study of federal government as guests of the U.S. Senate starting March 3rd. Everything is rolling in, Harvey said about her good news this month. It's nice to see the hard work paying off. Nevada Union Principal Mike Blake said he nominated Harvey because of her leadership, scholastic excellence, and volunteerism with numerous clubs and organizations such as the California Scholarship Federation, Health Careers Club, and the Key Club. She also served as Link leader and the A-Team Link crew member, Free Tibet Club's secretary, and Free the Children Club member. She is a member of the California Scholarship Federation, Health Career Club, and Key Club. Outside of school, Harvey is an accomplished pianist and once a week performs for seniors in a music for medicine program for the terminally ill and homebound. Harvey was also invited to luncheon January 12th with Torkelson and the California School Board of Education, said her mother, Karen Harvey. Good luck. Online search and advertising agent giant Google is looking at solar energy. Google Inc. said Tuesday in its Green blog that it will spend $94 million on projects that also will receive equity from SunTap Energy RELLC, a venture formed by KKR to invest in U.S. solar projects. Projects are expected to provide electricity and power to more than 13,000 average U.S. homes. Electricity produced by 3 of the projects is contracting for 20 years with utility districts. Google said construction on 3 of the 4 projects will be complete early next year, and a 4th will come online later in the year. KKR said SunTap represents the first U.S. renewable energy investment. It also is invested in French wind farm operation and a Spanish solar energy company. Google said it has invested more than $915 million in clean energy projects, including $800 million this year. Google has invested in wind farms in North Dakota, California, Oregon, solar projects in California and Germany, and projects off the east coast of the U.S. meant to help make offshore wind farms possible. Google has said it is disappointed that it can't buy renewable electricity for its power-hungry data centers, so it is investing to help renewable power expand in scale. Reducing the environmental impact of its business has long been a focus of co-founder and CEO Larry Page. The company says that since 2007 it has completely offset its emissions of greenhouse gases by paying for projects that remove those gases from the atmosphere. In September, Google announced it would set up a $75 million fund to help local installers offer special financing deals to homeowners who want to put solar panels on their roofs. In June, the company announced a $280 million deal with installer SolarCity to help it offer similar deals. Google's Sacramento deal represents the first U.S. investment in large-scale solar projects that generates energy for a grid rather than individual rooftops. Prices of solar panels have fallen dramatically over the last year as more solar manufacturing plants have been built, raw materials costs are fallen, and renewable energy subsidies in Europe and solar's biggest market have dried up. This has been a boon for installers, utilities, and homeowners. Solar installations are on pace to double in the U.S. this year and second year in a row. Mid-American Energy, the Iowa utility owned by Berkshire Hathaway, announced investments in 2 enormous solar farms this month, one in Arizona, one in California. But the low panel prices have eroded the profits of panel makers. First Solar, the nation's largest solar company, has cut earnings and revenue estimated for 2011. The company based in Tempe, Arizona, expects to report 85 cents per share related to a series of cost-cutting moves this year, including layoffs of about 100 people. In September, California solar panel maker Solyndra LLC has received $528 million federal loan and was touted by Obama's administration as a green job creator, filed bankruptcy and court protection citing low panel prices. And that's it for local news today. Now there's another thanks to some underwriters who support us. GVTV News.